I was talking about whether or not I wanted to go to graduation since like my mom's high risk and it's gonna be like 500 people there. But even though it's like they're like gonna make us 6 feet apart, but I just don't want to take any risks with it. And then I want to see like I just wanted to see how they're gonna like completely set it up, like the final product before like I go.
Oh, because you don't want to be around other people and bring it back to her.
Hmm.
Is she still going through treatments right now?
She stopped her treatment because she didn't want to like keep lowering her immune system during this time, which I'm also scared about.
So
Yeah.
she stopped the treatment during the quarantine?
Hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you seem more open about talking about. I know before you really didn't talk about it at all with other people. What's changed? What's given you, I guess, the freedom to talk now?
I guess as time has passed now, so I'm like kind of coping with it more, and I guess like just constantly like meditating on it and like just like thinking about it more and like going through it makes me like more able to share it now.
So before you were kind of like avoiding it, and
Yeah.
through the meditation and just being focused on being accepting what is, I guess you've
Mhm.
been able to face it a little bit more.
Mhm.
And has that brought you a little bit more peace?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like I would just like try to not think about it at all, and like if I do think about it, I'll just like start crying. But now I'm just like more like I still yeah I'm just more like open about it, I guess.
Wow. Okay. Um, Fred, you mentioned before
Hmm.
that you had pre-existing stress, and how the
Yeah.
meditations or this quarantine kept you away from being able to get the support systems you usually
Oh.
had.
Hmm.
Can you talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit?
Yeah. So at the or I guess I'll start even further back. So like anxiety and depression is something I'm like dealing with for years. And this past, I would say this past semester is when I really started like getting into going to therapy consistently, things like that. And the quarantine happened, and I couldn't go anymore. And so it's like that foundation I was building, it like kind of crumbled before I had a chance to solidify it. So with the meditations and stuff, one thing that like it's hard for me to do because I'll get so anxious is I can't like sit still and think like with my thoughts because they'll start rushing. And so my thoughts are rushing and I'm trying to focus, like I can't do it. So like with the meditations we were doing, it was like practicing like stillness and mindfulness. It was something that was like really, really hard for me to do. And so it kind of like slowly over time, like we kept doing like calm down my thoughts to where I could like, I don't want to say function, but like I could think clearly more than I could before.
Good.
I have a lot of uncertainty right now, like about school and about my mom, because of like with Corona, I'm scared like of her getting infected since she's high risk, and also like she stopped treatment, so I'm scared of like it like getting worse in this like during the lockdown. But like the meditations like it helped me think more about it and like kind of make more peace with it, and not like make me go like into the violent breakdowns every time I think about it, and just like start coping more.
So in the past, you've had experiences with violent breakdowns, like where you have anxiety attacks or something?
Oh, like yeah, yeah. Like sometimes like I'll just like go to my room and just like cry and cry and cry.
And what's helped you learn how to cope with that better?
I guess like just like learning like methods like to relax and calm down, breathing and like just like fighting your like fighting your situation mentally, just like constantly like just like thinking about it and like thinking like making just like peace with it. Really,
So did the meditations help you at all with that?
yeah, definitely. That's how I learned pretty much all the strategies to do it.
And so you were doing the meditation sessions with me on Zoom, right?
Hmm.
And so what was the like biggest takeaway from it?
The biggest takeaway from it was whenever you would like make us talk to ourselves and like kind of forgive ourselves and like just like let us just like relax and like release all our tensions and anxiety and fear.
Right, right.
I remember one time in particular, like, because like I said before, like I definitely struggle with anxiety like badly. So like, it was this one night, I forgot what happened, but I was up until probably around like 4 or 5, and had to be at the meet at 8, and then ran badly, obviously, because I slept for like 2 hours. And then when I told what happened, it was still like, okay, but you didn't perform. Like, you still need to come here and perform and do what you need to do. And I'm like, do you not understand? Like, not only was I not sleeping, but I was awake, panicking, and it was not understood. And so it's like, even when I plead my case and tell what happened, it's like, okay, we didn't sign you, to crack. We signed you to perform.
So you feel like sometimes they think or people think that it's an excuse when you say you have stress or whatever?
Yeah, because it'll be like, oh, you don't have anxiety, just a little nervous. You don't have depression, just a little sad. Like, you can work through that. Like, stop overdiagnosing yourself, blah, 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 blah. And so it's belittled, but that doesn't mean that the severity is not high.
Do you think that coaches need to receive training in this? Because like as a coach, nobody's ever sat me down and said, you need to be trained in how to deal with kids who have emotional issues. Do you
Yeah,
think
I
that should be
definitely,
something?
I definitely think that a lot of coaches needs to be trained because most, like literally most of them don't really care. I remember one of my friends telling me how he told the coach about all the things that he's been going through since the coronavirus and all the anxieties that he's been facing. And he didn't even had nothing to say to him. Like, he didn't even like say anything encouraging or try to like help him out. Like, some of them like just don't even like care, or I don't know. For me, I feel like the meditation really helped me out a lot better, because I was like, whenever the quarantine first started, like I felt like I was probably like in a standstill, like stagnant. And then I started getting like lazy, and I started lacking motivation to even work out and stuff. And then whenever Coach Gibson hit me up and said, oh, about the meditations, he told me about it. I was like, okay, let me give this a try. So like, even the first day of doing it, it was just like, I felt so much at peace, and like I was able to deal with a lot of the situation that I was going through, like a lot more like calmly and like peacefully. And I don't know, I felt like whenever I was running track, and I was letting all like the stress, like, I was releasing the stress through track. I was releasing everything I was going through track. But like, it's like now that it's been taken away from me, it's just like I had to go through all this situation like by myself, and I didn't have our day-to-day basis, like, going to classes, like the distraction that we had before the quarantine. So like, I was just, I feel like all the emotion was just like weighing me down. But then whenever I started meditating, it's just like I was just letting it all like, clear out, and it was more peaceful. Then I was able to just be more in tune myself and trying to find my purpose, and thinking more deeply and thinking more positive, because it's a lot of like negative thoughts that we think on a daily basis. So like, being more positive, having positive energy and all that. So I felt it was really good for me.
Were you kind of, I remember one time you told me you were kind of like wondering where to go now, like with track being taken away, you felt like you had no purpose anymore for a minute.
Right. Yes, and yes, because track, literally, I've been doing it since high school, so it's literally almost everyday practice. And then it's like, now that it's gone and we're not able to run till, we don't know when. It's like, I didn't know what's next. Like, what else am I gifted at? What else can I do? What is my purpose? And I kept telling Coach Gibson about like what was I don't know what my purpose was. But then I felt like whenever I started meditating more, I started like, being more aware of the gifts that I have, the other gifts that I have, and the other talents that I have. So I was just like, okay, let me input this to, good use. And, with this quarantine, like, it's giving me more time to really find my true purpose. And meditating, it helped me to really, think about stuff like that. So,
Right.
yeah.
I see you shaking your head, Tristan. You can relate?
Oh yeah. I've been you asked me that one question, like, who am I outside of track? And that question was just like haunting me. But I would say that meditation gave me the tools to the tools and the skills you need basically to handle stress. It could help you to de-stress, but it can also help you to focus. And one of the things that I really liked about the meditation was that it helps you to address things head on rather than to just sweep it under the rug. You helped us to just look at it, like address it, basically say like, okay, this can happen. Look at the negative, but then also try to counter that with like a positive way of thinking. And yeah, that to me was a big step, because for me it's like every time I get a negative thought, I was like, damn, I'm a negative person, or I'm a negative thinker. But that's natural, you know. So just learning how to see the negative side of it, but then also seeing that the positive can happen, it prepares you for any situation that you may encounter.
Right. And when you said that thing with the negative person, like when you have a negative thought, starting to think that you're negative just because you have that negative thought, and with meditation, learning how to separate the thought from you, like just because you have that thought is not who you are.
I live with my grandma, and I've lived with her since 2012, which means my parents are not in my life. But I was trying to do financial aid, and they were making a big deal about her guardianship papers. Basically saying, because they're from Louisiana doesn't use guardianship lightly, they use tutorship instead, and I sent them proof of that. But they were just kind of like neglecting the fact that because it's from another state, it probably doesn't mean the same. Even I sent them the proof. And it was just like constant back and forth with the financial aid office on me trying to get my aid, because it was like I didn't know what they wanted me to do. They weren't really explaining it. So Coach Gibson helped me. She called them and like explained my situation, tried to see what I could do to get my aid, and they talked to her. They told her what I could do. So now I'm in the process of doing that. I haven't had really any issues since then, so I'm really thankful. And I'm just glad that she was there to help me sort it out, because I was kind of like about to just accept the fact that I probably won't be getting aid from them.
And I want people to know, aside from the organization, that's why it's so important for us to keep reaching out to people, because Samantha didn't call me and ask me for help, but it was probably about maybe my 4th or 5th check-in with her, and she finally told me what was going on. But I just try periodically, I rotate through all the contacts that I have of youth, and I just reach out and I say, hey, how are you? And sometimes they say fine, and I just say, hey, I'm here for you. And then eventually, finally, she opened up and told me what she was going through. But if we're not reaching out to people, to the youth and checking in on them, and everybody can say, oh, well, I have a bunch going on in my life. I got a lot going on in my life too. But if, we connect to our purpose and understand that we're put here to serve others, we're put here to have an impact on others, then even though we're going through a lot, that's not really an excuse not to be there for someone else in whatever capacity that you're capable of. So that's why for me, even when I'm in pain, even on days that I'm crying, I'll still find a way to reach out and have an impact on somebody else. Because I've learned that the more that I focus on my pain, the pain magnifies. But when I reach out and I put my focus and my energy in someone else's pain, then it actually helps my pain dissipate just a little bit, even if it's just for a moment. Okay.
Like I can count on one hand, and I probably use all the fingers of all the coaches that like I've had that have really been there and like been solid all the way through, other than just like, oh, how are you doing? And if I say, I'm not fine, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Well, anyway, we have practice at this time. Like, it's like we need more than that. Like, I feel like from the ages of like, like early teens to the 20s, or really high school and college, the most vulnerable years. And you can't always lean on everybody you meet, but like a coach, because you go to them when you're dead tired on the track. You go to them when you have your highest highs after you win something. Like they're there through the entire emotional spectrum you go on. And so it's almost should be automatic that we should feel safe enough to rely on them. like with everything we have, because they're there through literally everything. We travel with them, we do everything with them. And so it's something that like should definitely go around to other schools and be taught to coaches, and like let people know like, okay, well, if nobody else is here for you, this person's here for you. And I feel like that should be a coach.
Right. Tristan, you were about to say something?
Yeah, to piggyback off of Fred, I think it should be in schools too, because these are people that you're closest to, and it's easier to talk to them because you're with them every day. Like how we spend so much time with our coaches, you know, they should be the ones to help us get through this, because it's not just about, you know, what we do on the track. It's not about that. It's about the athlete in general, which really mentally, then that'll make them even stronger to perform on the track. So it's like a win-win situation. And I can only see benefits, you know, from the organizations like the Damani Foundation. If it's implemented and it continues to grow, you only show benefits.
Right. Thank you for that. Thank you. And with you, I'll say this, you were tremendously talented physically when we met, but do you see the role that the mental things that we did played in your time dropping?
Yeah.
How so?
It made me a whole different athlete. Like on the outside looking in, I know I look tough, you know, and I look like I have it all together, but I battled with a lot mentally, like self-confidence, stuff like that over the years, because I've been constantly injured. And I've had instances where coaches didn't believe in me. And I've asked myself even like if I'm at the right place. And the whole meditation and talking to you helped me to not only think about what others think about me, but it was more important for what I think about myself. It helped me to find my purpose, which is to help others, you know, who are going through the same thing that I am, and to use my gift as an outlet, but to also to inspire others that, you know, like you don't necessarily need to have a whole crowd of people backing you, but if you have one or two people that are, you know, just hold on to them and, you know, just focus on the positive and cherish them more than you listen to the negatives or the naysayers or even to like the bad voices in your head. So, yeah.
Yes. And you know what? You're preaching to me right now. That's the same thing with my grief. You know, yeah, I have negative thoughts. I can hold on to the negative thoughts and focus in on that, or I can focus in on positive, you know. And I'm not big on that, like, oh, positive thinking is going to erase everything, but it's the same thing. You know, what we focus on more is going to affect how we, you know, live. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, because it's not to say that like bad things won't happen, you know, they will, but it's at the end of the day, it's how you deal with it. It's how you get up and pick yourself up. And I like what you said when you said like you could be going through something and helping others, even that helps you to, you know, like deal with what you're going through. And sometimes it gives you a moment to just stop thinking about what you are, you know, dealing with at that time. And sometimes that even a little break, that little peace, it helps you then to have the endurance to deal with what you're dealing with. So
wow. Preach, little daughter. So wait, let me ask you this. So Tristan, you are one that are good at wearing a mask. Yes?
Yeah.
It's really important for people to know just because somebody's smiling from the outside, it doesn't mean that they're not going through something. And I think in society, we do that a lot. We just assume that people are smiling and they're fine, and we don't provide extra, you know, help or resources or support. So it's important for us to just build relationships and talk to people to where they feel comfortable opening up to us, whether they have that smile on the outside or not, because they're not going to let everybody in. What is it about our interactions, and all of you guys can chime in, that made you comfortable enough to, and this is for me to understand, what made you comfortable enough to open up to me about what you experienced? Because I know Fred, I never would have thought, because you were always smiling and happy. You were You know, Tristan was always smiling, happy, bubbly, wondrous. Everybody would think you're always smiling, happy, bubbly. Samantha, you too. All of y'all wear them masks. All of y'all have this big old, like, don't worry about me. I'm good. What made you open up to me?
The
In track,
genuineness.
in track, you created a safe space for us, and like you would like we would all just like come up and share, and like whenever everyone else was sharing, it'd be like more comfortable to share whatever I was going through.
I think too, it was your ability to open up to us too. Like, you know, you were dealing with, you know, something that I don't even know how you get through it, but you were able to open up to us. So it allowed me to see, well, if she can do it, then I can do it too. So plus, and your genuineness. So
for me, it was like more watching you interact with everybody else because I'm a really big observer because like for me, I may think I may like you or whatever, but like I had to watch how you treat anybody else before I like feel the need to remove my mask to let you see me.
Because I could be
And
fake, right? Because some people
right,
will make it, they'll be a wolf in sheep's clothing trying to act like they care. And then you see them with somebody else. Or even if it's like a star athlete, like, so they treat the star athlete really good. And then everybody else they treat like crap. So that shows you what their true intentions are.
yeah, reviews.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I had to like watch. I was like, because I remember so clearly, especially when you first came to the school. And I remember I was like, oh, that's that coach from South Springs, all the fast girls and blah. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. She's a good coach, but like, who is she? So I was watching the way you interacted with like the women's team and how quickly they gravitated because you were like a mother figure to them, like right off rip. It was crazy the charisma that came. And so I was watching that, and then I was like, huh. And so it's so funny. I didn't talk to you until conference, and that's when we first started like having our first conversation. And the way you opened up immediately, where I didn't feel like I had to like kind of chip away at whatever was on the outside so I could get to it, like what actually mattered. It was like, okay, like this person actually cares. I think that's the main thing. I was like, I know she's gonna care. Like if I say something, it's not gonna be invalidated. I won't feel like I'm misunderstood because like even if she doesn't get it, she'll at least listen to what I'm saying, and that's all I need sometimes.